The Globe and Mail's Ottawa Bureau Chief, Robert Fife, was the one who broke this story, and he joins us from our Ottawa studio. Thank you for being on the program.
Thanks, Beverly. I'm having a chuckle at Bill Morneau's statement that they were concerned about jobs, but they're awfully concerned about the Quebec provincial election and the upcoming federal election in Quebec. He failed to mention that part of it, which was kind of crucial in the discussions that took place from Mr. Morneau's office with Miss Wilson-Raybould's office. They were concerned about SNC-Lavalin. For sure, the fate of the company, but they were also equally concerned about the fate of the Quebec Liberal Party provincially on that election last October, and what would it be the impact on the federal election, Liberal election chances in Quebec this year.
Yeah, and let me ask you about that, because, and further to Morneau's comments, of course, he says there's a lot of questions about his chief of staff. He said, in terms of Morneau, he said he himself didn't approach Judy Wilson-Raybould, and essentially everybody was acting appropriately. Prime Minister similar, saying that, you know, he refutes the version of events. So, okay, in terms of their defense, we now have an emergency session. So what does that say?
Well, emergency debate in Parliament is not really a big deal. It happens often. It's an opportunity for members of Parliament to put their views of the situation on the record, and I'm sure the Liberals will be interesting to see what the Liberals come up with. I think we pretty much know their talking lines, that the government was concerned about jobs in Quebec, that there wasn't inappropriate pressure, and if there was, why didn't she resign? Why did she stay? Why did she accept the cabinet appointment? And of course, we don't know the reason for that. It's because they put a legal gag order on her. She's prevented from talking about what happened after she was demoted from Attorney General and Justice Minister to Veterans Affairs, or what happened that led to her resignation. All of that she's forbidden from talking about.
Well, so the Conservative leader said the Prime Minister should resign. And he also, I mean, we just got a copy of a letter that he has sent, that the Conservatives have sent to the Commissioner of the RCMP, saying there should be an investigation. And we know NDP leader Jagmeet Singh has been calling for a national public inquiry. What do you think is next, might be next, and what will get to the bottom of this?
Well, I don't think the RCMP will end up investigating. Miss Wilson-Raybould told the committee herself she didn't think anything illegal had happened, just that it was completely inappropriate, the kind of pressure that she was subjected to. Now, I think it would be worthwhile for the country if there was a public inquiry headed by a judge who could pronounce on the ethical conduct of this government in trying to interfere politically in a criminal prosecution of a major Quebec company. But I doubt very much that would happen, because everybody would then have to be sworn under oath. The judge would be able to see all the emails, all the conversations, all the memos, and it would probably not look too pretty at the end of the day for the government, including the clerk of the Privy Council, Michael Warnick. I think what we might get to see, though, because it's such an incredible political controversy, that the Commons Justice Committee might be persuaded to call Gerald Butts and Katie Telford and perhaps and Matthew Bouchard, who are in the Prime Minister's office, who were part of this, as well as Ben Chin, and maybe the clerk of the Privy Council back to committee, so that they can tell their side of the story. And what we're hearing from Liberals, Beverly, is that they're just trying to muddy the waters a little by saying, well, yes, this conversation happened, but it wasn't quite the way she said it. That seems to be the strategy that they're going to try to see if they can convince the public of.
Yeah, and it's interesting, harkening back to the clerk of the Privy Council's comments about, yes, there was pressure, but the pressure was to do the right thing, get the job done. Let me ask you what happens now with the Justice Committee. So what will Canadians see out of that when and if it wraps up, how it wraps up? What does it do?
Well, right now, officially, it should be wrapped up, because she was the last witness. That was the Liberals' majority on the Commons Justice Committee a week ago had defeated opposition demands to call Mr. Butts and Katie Telford and other, including Kathleen Russell, the Director of Public Prosecution Service, to the committee. They only wanted the clerk and some legal scholars and Miss Wilson-Raybould, and so right now it's officially should be ended. But the opposition parties are hoping to have a meeting next week to see if they can have the committee deal with these other people we haven't heard from. The committee is not actually scheduled to be back until I think it's the 20th and 21st. So it's quite a while away, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, the Liberals may just hope, or maybe hoping that they're not going to have any further hearings, and they just hope that this will go away over the 2-week break. And then when they come back, people will be preoccupied with Mr. Morneau's budget on the 19th of March, and that people will forget about it. But I don't think people are going to forget about this. This is a story that has gone outside the Ottawa bubble. It's now on the streets. People are talking about it in coffee shops and at gas stations and in their homes. And the government has a serious political crisis on its hands.
Yeah, it sure does. The story just keeps getting bigger since you broke it, Bob. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.